What's your purpose?
You know, when you're an entrepreneur, you've broken out of the system. You've maybe went to school and said, okay, this isn't for me. I think a good way of explaining it would be personal sovereignty.
Why don't people know that they're a genius?
99% of people are not sharing their gifts. They're bogged down in these detailed, stupid, ridiculous things that they're doing in their everyday.
What's sovereignty mean? Jean-Luc, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on this great show.
So I'm just going to dive right into it. What's your purpose?
My purpose is to help men stand in their power. And that means a lot of different things, but I think a good way of explaining it would be personal sovereignty. And that encompasses a whole bunch of things, you know, and specifically who I'm talking to is entrepreneurs, because they're already taking that step. You know, when you're an employee, you're following rules. You know, when you're an entrepreneur, you've broken out of the system. You've maybe went to school and said, okay, this isn't for me, you know, or like, I'm going to do something different. I'm going to lead my own life. So I'm talking to those people.
What's sovereignty mean? Like personal sovereignty. What's that mean?
It means freedom, right? Freedom to follow your own destiny, really. Standing in your power, like your gift that you came here for, you were born to share. 99% of people are not sharing their gifts. They're bogged down in these detailed, stupid, ridiculous things that they're doing in their everyday. I want to unpack and go, what is the one thing that makes you, you? And like, you can't build anything off of a weakness. You got to build something off of a strength. So let's define that. We're very bad at defining what that power is. What is that genius that I call? How do we define it? We say, oh, I think I'm good at this. I think I'm good at that. I think I'm not good at this. I'm not good at that. It's very difficult to self-assess. People are doing things they think they're good at, but they're not. So what I do with clients is make sure that I get information from the outside world, people that know them. What is his genius? Let's see these common traits. What do I sense is his genius also, right? As I get to know them deeper and deeper. And then it's, okay, how do we leverage this? Because that's not only going to give them the result, right? They're going to live a really fulfilled life.
Right.
Yeah.
Why don't people know that they're a genius, or why is it your purpose to free them from their blockages?
Okay, so that's like the first question. Why do they not know their genius? Is because we grow up in a society that is completely conditioned. Like, I don't know if you had this, but when I went to school, they gave me in high school this sort of, here are the options. You can be a police officer. You can be a doctor. You can be this. You can be that. And I still remember that feeling of trying to fit in a box of some profession. And I chose police, actually, you know, and that didn't work out. But like, you know, it was just like, oh, you know, that those are the options in this society, you know. No one was really going in deeper into looking at like what that is, but we're basically just prized on certain elements. You're going to be a doctor? You're going to be a lawyer? Yeah. Wow. That's amazing. Okay, reward.
That resonates with me a lot, because when I graduated from university, everyone was go to the government, go to the hospital, get the pension, work the 35 years, this box that everyone defined for me. And I went to go do it and I was miserable. Good salary every 2 weeks, saw my coworker count down the days to when her pension was happening. And I was in that box and I was not happy. It took me to get let go to get out of that box. Would I have stayed in that box? Who knows? I could have stayed there an extra year, 2 years, 10 years, 15 years, and then been golden handcuffed.
How did it feel to be in that box?
Awful. Like, it was like prison.
Yeah.
It was awful.
And when you were in it, you felt that way?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
But the noise around me too was like, should be normal. This should be okay. You should enjoy it.
Right.
I didn't enjoy it.
Right. And then when you broke off into entrepreneurship,
it was like, felt open. I felt abundant. I felt so much opportunity. I woke up every day with a smile on my face.
Yeah.
But then entrepreneurship could be a trap too, right? Like, you can get into it at the beginning, building, and then there could be an employee or a few employees or a few clients that kind of trap you in the noise and the tunnel and all that too, where you're working 12 hours a day, 7 days a week because you're nervous about not making payroll.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're in your basement, doing what I did. I ran an accounting company. So I was in the basement and at my house because we went remotely and completely disconnected. Right. So it's, even as an entrepreneur, you can still lose your sovereignty, your freedom and whatnot.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. We sort of get trapped.
Yeah.
Eventually.
How do you become aware of it and know what the noise is and what your true purpose is for each individual?
Yeah. I'd say if I look at my audience, that I'm here to serve, to help, oftentimes it's rock bottom.
Before you get into that, when you say I'm here to serve, what does that mean?
Oh, that's what I'm here for, right? To help. I think we're all here to serve others, but in our own unique ways.
And how did you define entrepreneurships as people you want to help and serve?
Oh, that's just something that. So I started out as a personal trainer when I was 17, and I just in the world of personal training just started attracting a lot of entrepreneurs. A lot of them became my mentors, right? I was really lucky, also my dad left when I was a kid. So I think I was seeking, more of a father wisdom from a very young age. So I was a sponge, I was constant. Oh, I meet a client. What, you're driving that Porsche 911. Like, how did you get that? What do you do? Oh, sales. Oh, what is it? I wanted to know everything about success, and I wanted to know. So I had mentors. I even had like billionaires I trained, like even, like some of the richest in Canada and I didn't go out trying to say, this is my audience. It's just what was just happening. So as I got to know them, I became very passionate, and, they saw me and they saw someone that is obsessed with becoming, with helping somebody become the best version of themselves. So I think they respected that a lot. And I was always on a drive to, how can I make this guy as healthy as possible? That's really what it was, I'm like, yeah, he needs to be lean. He needs to have good, mental energy. He needs to perform at his best, right? So that question drove my whole life.
Gotcha.
How do I help these people? Because it started with exercise. It moved to nutrition, right? And I was breaking boxes. I wasn't like the school guy that's saying, okay, I need my certificate to discuss nutrition. No, I was like, I'm going to learn more about nutrition than the professor knows. I'll dive in. I'll read everything. So everything had a few years of learning curve to dive in. I'm a deep researcher. So then I go in, okay, learn the subject, master the subject, have a good understanding of it. And then it was like, okay, still nothing. It's not the nutrition. It's not the exercise. It's stress. Stress, like overlays all of it. Because I would do like body fat testing. So you could check cortisol levels of stress. So I'm here with these entrepreneurs as my audience. I'm testing their cortisol. I'm like, man, he's losing his hair. That's what stress does. So losing his hair, can't sleep at night, digestive issues, all these patterns I'm seeing, connecting dots, going, okay, the solution is deeper. It's about stress. Well, what controls stress?
So you're doing process of elimination, physical, nutrition.
Exactly.
Okay.
So then I'm like, okay, so if it's not, so what controls stress in the body? And that was a big thing, because I'd send them to get hormone tested with doctors. They'd come back with the results. Okay, what do I do with these results? We have to face different things because it's mental. It was a mental component. It was like, oh, like your head, you never stop. Your mind is always going. Your phone is always going. Like you're always thinking next. You're never stopping. So I came upon a book called When the Body Says No by Gabor Maté. That was a turning point of a book, because I was like, whoa, that connected for me. And this is going back like 20 years. But when I read that book, it connected pieces of my own experience of going, oh, it's not just about the physical. It's the mind-body connection. And it's also the next step even further that society doesn't really take in, is environment and mind connection. So it was this three things. So that led me down a road of just trying meditation. So I was like, first step is I can't fix. I come to realize this one thing, and this is something that some entrepreneurs have told me, man, that really changed me by understanding this one sentence that you said, is I can't change my thoughts with more thoughts. Because we're used to thinking our way out of problems, but the problem is the thinking. And it's like, it's almost weird. It's like a dog trying to catch its tail. It just goes round and round. Like, oh, well, then what? Well, then how? And it's like, you got to stop. You got to stop. Just like a river, or an ocean that has all these waves. You got to turn to pond water. You need solitude. You need to stop. You need to go out into nature. You need to carve out time where you're going to have space. Space for what? What's the goal? What's the point? Right? Because we're already conditioned to think, what am I going to get out of this? And it's like, but that's also part of the problem. It's just try it. Just give it a shot. Even if it's going to be a waste of time, just give it a shot. So as I started doing this, and I committed to saying, okay, I'm doing this for the next 90 days, every single day. Meditation. I started to see the benefits.
What is meditation?
Meditation is just a practice of being present to what is.
For a certain amount of time?
It could be 5 minutes. It could be just 5 minutes a day. It has more to do with consistency, kind of like going to the gym. It has more to do than consistency, than how to do it perfectly, how to, the intensity of and all this stuff. No, just sit down and do nothing for 5 minutes and have no desire for outcome. It's hard for a business guy to do. He's not wired that way. Like but in that space, you create a crack in the door that all of a sudden you start to realize your own patterns about stuff. And then it's like, oh, like things just somehow like come up in thoughts. Because thoughts aren't going to stop. They're not just all right. I mean, they're going to be going and going. And you just say, hey, just sit with it. Observe. And also observe that you're not your thoughts. Because there's someone seeing those thoughts while you're sitting there. So who's the one seeing all of this? Who's the one actually recognizing the thoughts? And that's and that's the first step to meditation, is realizing there's a bunch of thoughts in our heads going on. And you probably wouldn't, it's very sporadic, the thoughts that we get. Oh my God, I think I'm going to be late for that meeting. Oh, I got this to pick up tomorrow. Oh man, I'm really hungry right now. The thoughts are all over the place, right? They're not and if you took those thoughts out and you made a persona of that person, Would you sit down and want to have advice from that person? Probably not. You'd think they're crazy, right? So we need to just be aware that all of this, there are thoughts in our heads, but we're not the thoughts, and we can observe those thoughts. And from there, we start to create space to our patterns. We got patterns that we do. There's things we're avoiding. There's conversations with those we love that we're avoiding. There's conversations with employees that we're avoiding that are, just creating friction, not allowing us, again, to stand in our power and move the business in a way that's going to serve our life, as opposed to a life that is always serving our business. Go, go, go. Like you said, the trap. Or, okay, I'm just going to keep going, more clients. Okay, more business, more money. Never stop to say, why are you doing all
right? Yeah.
Is there a better way?
Right.
And
when you're doing the 90-day meditation, what made you do 90 days versus 30 days versus 60 days? Like, was it just a commitment thing?
It was just a commitment. It was just like, hey, I'm going to give this a good go. I think 90 days is a good amount of time to see. And that built on itself, because it went from, I'm very intense, when I jump into something. So it was like, okay, now I'm going to do 3 hours a day. Now I'm going to do meditation 4 hours a day. Now I'm going to buy a yurt in my backyard. I'm going to start doing this all day. So, at that point I was I had built a business that was self-sustained. So I had a lot of time. I had people leading that company. And I was like, okay, I'm just going to stay in this yurt and meditate. That's why I sold my business.
Stay in the what to meditate?
I had a yurt. I built a yurt in my backyard.
And what is that?
It's like sort of like a big tent.
Okay.
Yeah. And I would just go there. My neighbor thought I was crazy, Mike, if you're watching this, and he's like, what are you doing in there?
Because society doesn't see that. I mean, 3 hours a day by yourself, that goes against every societal thing out there.
Exactly.
I mean, people can't last 5 minutes without their phone. Going 3 hours.
Yeah. And so then after the evolution of that is realizing, oh, this is a practice for everyday life. That's why.
But how did you get from 5 minutes to 3 hours?
I loved it. I loved it. It was like,
what did you love about it?
Peace. It's like I had never really touched silence and peace,
Because at the beginning, there must have been so many thoughts in your brain. I'm just thinking of that entrepreneur who has 1,000,001 things going on. For him to sit down for 5-10 minutes in silence, that could be a very uncomfortable experience at the beginning. And it must have been for you too. And then it became a peaceful experience. How did you get to that point of, was it just like, I'm going to be committed to this for 90 days and going to see it through, and then eventually got better and better for you?
Yeah. Just like, it doesn't take that long. After 1 week, you start to see there's a saying, like a Buddhist that was asked, I think it was the Dalai Lama, asked, what did meditation give you? And he said, it didn't give me anything, but it removed addictions. It removed, all of the things that weren't serving my life, basically. You start to see patterns. Why do I smoke? Why am I drinking alcohol? So many people are drinking alcohol, and then they just they don't actually even like it. They're just doing it because it's
the social norms.
Their social norm, or they feel uncomfortable around people. I'm in this networking event that I don't want to be in. So to tolerate it, I'm going to have a few drinks. Man, don't go to that networking event.
Right.
That's what your body is telling you. So I'm not giving entrepreneurs advice more than I'm just trying to point them back to what the hell is at their core saying. At their core, it's saying, I don't like these networking events and I don't want to go to them. But then there's all these social things. This person in my life is not feeding me at all. You know, they're sort of an anchor. Okay, we'll discuss it.
When you were doing the research for your clients to remove the stress from them, how did it get to you where you wanted to practice it for yourself? Were you feeling stressed? Were you
Like I was a world level bodybuilder, right? Like when I placed 7th in the world, first in Canada when I was 21. Everything I did, I tested on myself first. I looked at trainers that were fat and I thought, who in the hell would hire that person?
right? Right.
It didn't make sense to me.
Right.
Like, you need to be an example. I always have to stay ahead. So I always have to be taking care of myself first, testing it on me. And if it works for me, then I can share it with somebody else.
Practical option. I like
You know,
that.
I'm not going to show somebody how to make money if I never made money before.
I totally agree with you.
Right?
Yeah. There's a lot of coaches out there that you wonder and you're like, have you built a business yet? No, I've learned it in school. Well, I went to school. I got my MBA. I came back the first year. I lost $96,000 because I thought I knew what I was doing. And then I made so many mistakes because I did it. Now I could teach it because I got the theory and the practical, and I did it for over 10 years.
Yeah.
So now I can actually say I did it, but I was so oblivious of the side. So I get the fact that you had to dive into it in order to teach it. And I think a lot of coaches out there say they can do it, but they haven't done it for themselves.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I can't trust that. You know, I can't trust a coach that has just theory. It's like teaching you how to swim from the side of the river.
Yeah.
You know, have you jumped in?
So when you're going through all this, are you unblocking a lot of things in your mind and seeing patterns, or like what are you seeing for yourself and then coaching clients on?
Yeah, like, I mean, eventually you see all your addictive patterns. You were addicted to so many things. Everyone's addicted to some stuff.
Give me a few. When I think of addiction, I think of drugs and alcohol,
Right.
But there's other addictions.
Yeah, addiction to entrepreneurship, addiction to work. That's a huge one with the people I deal with. I tell them from the get-go that they're only going to work 180 days a year. And they say, what do I do in those other times? Because and think about how difficult that is, because then all of a sudden we're setting constraints.
Yeah.
We're saying, look, it's a choice. It's just a choice. Most of the actual changes that we make, and I mean, that's maybe another rant, but most of the change we make can happen today. It's just choices. You know, this person's been bothering you for 5 years. Today, you break up with them. Done. But we delay things, you know, we delay. And I'm here to help say, let's cut it right now. Let's do it by end of day. You need to make all these, what can change today, right? Lost my train of thought. And then I was because this is a subject that I'm really passionate about, decisions. Addiction, right? So addiction to work. Imagine you got addiction to work. Like, who are you when you're not working? That means I need to sit with myself. You know, that means I need to connect with my wife and my kids. You know, I haven't really done that. You know, that means maybe I'm going to be bored with my thoughts. Maybe I'm going to actually see these patterns. Don't even need meditation. I'm just going to see these patterns by having days off. But what you get is discovery of yourself more. Like, people think it's wasted time, but when you go in the shower is when you get the idea all of a sudden, right?
Yeah.
I have one client that recently, they went on vacation and they closed their biggest client they've ever closed on vacation, you know? So, and I've done that same thing. So it's often these patterns, but one, you're giving yourself a rest. Imagine we go to the gym every single day. there's a point of
Yeah.
diminishing returns at a certain point. You need rest days.
Yeah.
But the thing is, entrepreneurs don't really take rest days. They're still texting, they're still messaging, they're still moving, they're trying to move the needle in some way. Oh, it's a few hours here, a few hours there, this, that, right? So it's like, can you turn it off completely, right? Because when you do, there's a creative inspiration that comes up through that space. 2, you're pressure testing your business.
Yeah.
Because can it run without you? Can your people run it without you? Is your leadership good enough that you can allow them to run the place and it still grow? So you're pressure testing it, right? So it's not wasted time. It's actually really great time. And the other thing that you get is you get a higher perspective. When you're too close to something, you can't see what's wrong. So when you have space, all of a sudden you go, oh, that guy's got to go.
Yeah.
Right? Or like, I got to stop doing that type of work. Like, had somebody right before coming here, I said, who are you? Like, you're in your 40s now. You've touched the stove, for 40 years. What do you know to be true for real? He goes, I'm just not a computer guy. I hate the internet. Like every time I get in technology, okay, stop doing it. Let's, you know that about yourself. Let's get somebody else to do all of your tech. So it's like, you need the space, you need that perspective to go, okay, even on yourself and on your team and on everything. And people think it's wasted time, but it's actually like the most valuable time. You discover hobbies too. Hobbies that you've never actually like, oh, maybe I'll take up this new thing, maybe I'll start doing martial arts. I've been thinking about that. Start doing that. That unfolds into like, wow, I love this sport. This has been amazing. Like that brings so much to my life. So a lot of people are just stuck in these boxes, like we're saying, where it's like society gives you these boxes on who you are, and you just got to start breaking those things.
I bet you entrepreneurs, a lot of them live in boxes in a different way, though.
In what way? What do you mean?
Like when you talk about addiction of work, I bet you if you line up 9 out of every 10 entrepreneurs, they probably have an addiction to work.
Yeah, it's a common one.
It's a common
one. But they think that equates success, but it doesn't. See, I got to train Peter Gilligan, Mattamy Homes CEO, right? I think his net worth's like 8 billion or something. I had him that I could witness and get to know on a personal level, right? For a long time. And then I had another home builder that was there. And that builder, ran about a $2-3 million company, right? So I have these two people that I'm
this guy's doing more work than that guy.
This guy is like, I'm going to have to miss our workout today because I got to go on the job. Somebody forgot to do something. Okay, man. Can't make his workout. This guy doesn't miss a workout. Comes in, phone's not going off. He's at peace. He just finished cycling for 3 hours. What is going on here? The young me was fascinated with these sort of connections of what makes him that and what makes him that. What's going on? Okay, time management. He's managing his time a lot different, but like his personality is different too. He's got different skills than this guy. So for me, unpacking all of this, like I was saying in the beginning, is like this health journey. All I wanted to answer was, how do I make this person optimally healthy? That's it. And but then it got to business, because it was like, okay, it got to meditation. But after the meditation studio, it was like, okay, now there's a return to like taking all of this mindset stuff, all of this mental stuff, and then going back to like, it's how they run their business. That's why they're fat. That's why they're stressed out. Their whole way of viewing it is this sort of grind. Like they have to grind and grind and grind. And I saw guys die that were training in my facility at Freeform Fitness. Like, guy comes in, third heart attack. Business guy, third heart attack. Wow. Yeah, I finally want to change. I had 2 heart attacks, but something shifted. Oh, another guy gets cancer. And I'm sitting there trying to understand and seeing patterns through all of these people going, yeah, it was grinding, got cancer, boom, shift in personality, complete shift in worldview. Hey, you know what? It's not that important. I just want to be in a good environment. Oh, wow. Wouldn't have said that before. But there's been a shift. Why did that mental shift take place? Because you've had to hit rock bottom. It had to scare you to death for you to change. And this was common. I saw I saw one guy, running one of the greatest companies in Canada. This guy, ended up with cancer. When I met with him, I was trying to help him see what I'm trying to talk to you about. But I don't have a white jacket on with a label here. I don't have charts and credentials and all of this stuff to say, you must listen to me. The first person we see when we're born is this white jacket. So they're the authority to our life, like if we get sick, right? So trying to explain a worldview and this and that and how you're approaching life is really what keeps causing these things, like the book When the Body Says No by Gabor Maté explains how these ways of being come from our childhoods and we adopt these survival styles in order to succeed. But it can go in overdrive and it eventually just wear you out until you have signals like heart attacks that come online to say, hey, listen up, man. Listen up. Something's going on. You got to shift. And on the road, I even saw a man. I got to tell you this story. I saw a man because when I went on the road after I let go of the Peace Room, right, which was a meditation studio. So after I went on the road, I met this man that was letting me park on his driveway with my RV. And I get down to the river. I see him by the river, this old man, and he's looking at the water. And I just went over. I said, wow, this property, this estate is incredible. The scenery is unbelievable. Big rock in the water. And I said, what drove you here, He goes, oh, I own this huge company. And he goes, I'm just recovering from my 3rd heart attack. I said, oh, wow, that's something, man. What was that like, He goes, it took me 3 heart attacks to wake up. He goes, see, the first one I got out of there and I just kept going with the same routine and everything I was doing in business, the same thing. He goes, second one, same thing. Get up, same thing. I just keep running my company the way I was running it. He said, third one scared the shit out of me, man. Third one was like, I don't know what it was, but I really thought I was going to die. And he goes, I got home. First thing I did, he goes, I called my kids. I have a son and a daughter. He said, I called my daughter. I said, hey, the shares I have in your company? You can have them. I don't want them. He said, I called my son. I said, hey, the shares I have in your company? I don't want them. You keep them. He goes, I called my manager. I said, hey, I'm not coming in anymore. I want you to run the place. You figure it out. And he goes, since then, he's been spending all of his time by the lake. And his company's thriving. And I was just like, wow, I'm getting chills just revisiting that,
And if we go back to the Mattamy Home, $8 billion entrepreneur, why is he different than are there 1 or 2 or 3 characteristics that you spotted right away from his persona that are different than the individual that has a huge business that had 3 heart attacks, that by the 3rd one scared the crap out of him?
Yeah, if I was to just kind of randomly.
Just for the entrepreneur that's listening.
Yeah, I'd say he planned. This is something almost foreign to a lot of entrepreneurs because we are a bit rebellious oftentimes, right? Like I said, we break free of these systems. We don't like to be controlled. We want to move out. But Peter was very organized, like with what he would plan things. I went to his office once and, we get in his office. He's got this big roll of paper on the floor, and he's got his whole organizational chart written out with all the people. There's some that have X's on it. There's some that have notes written on it, but it's all there. He's a visionary, and he's seeing how. But it wasn't like what the company was right now. It was an expanded org chart, like what it's gonna be. So it was like he was planning how these things are going to go. What's the company? What is the people strategy when the company's worth billions? Right? And let's reverse engineer this. And let's plan. So he was a big planner. I learned a lot about that reverse org chart. That I thought, oh, that's a different way to look at it. Create this ahead of time. The other thing with Peter is he's puts his health first. He knows the foundation is health. Your energy level. I don't know if it's like that for you, but if you ever do sales calls or something like that, if you just sort of if your energy is down, you could go days and days without selling anything. But when your energy's up, bam, bam, you could do everything in one day.
Yeah.
Right. So your energy level, your state of energy is so massively important. And obviously, exercise has so much to do with that. We're meant to be moving. So he always, prioritized his workout, his exercise, eating right to business before. So that was foundational. Yeah, I'd say those are the two biggest things. He also was in his power. He is somebody that's in his power. I'd say that his genius, he knows what his genius is, and he knows to get everyone else to do the rest. He taught me at one point. I had called him at the gym. I was going through a little issue, right? I got 10 staff at that point. He's got probably 1,000. And but he's nice enough to answer my call, and I just said, Peter, I'm having trouble with my team. They're not really listening to what I'm telling them, And I remember him telling me, Jean-Luc, there's two types of leaders, There's the dictating leader, and then there's the inspirational leader. He's like, you can inspire them to do it. And that was a reflection. That advice was a reflection of him too. He was somebody that inspired people everywhere he went. It doesn't matter. He would inspire my front desk person. That was when he'd walk in the gym. So people often say, oh, people with money, they're arrogant or whatever. And so hasn't been my experience. Someone like Peter was so humble. He was humble to everyone that he came in contact with, and he was curious about them. Oh, what do you do? Oh, you like your job? You this, that. He cared on a very grounded level with people.
For him, when you have a value of a company of $8 billion, does your purpose change? What becomes your purpose?
Yeah, this idea of purpose has a lot of different connotations attached to it in society, right? So we can define it in many ways, right? I define it as your genius. Okay, so your purpose is, are you doing the gift that are you putting your gift out? If the answer to that is a few hours a day, then you're only in it a few hours a day. Purpose is you got a unique gift about you. And everyone that I work with, that's really one of the starting points. I want to know what the strength is, what's the gift. And that's, to me, is the purpose. Because when you're in that gift, then you're on fire.
Yeah.
Like, you're not only helping people at such a higher level, but you're fulfilled.
Yeah.
And that's the purpose. So it's not so much, to me, an outside chasing thing, because my purpose has shifted. If you look, I went from meditation to having an incubator, to having fitness, to technology, all these different things. Would you say like, oh, I had this different purpose? No, I was using the thing that I'm great at.
Which is what?
Which is coaching. Coaching people, seeing the best in people and rising them up is what I've done from the start, from when I was a trainer.
Like coaching clients.
I was coaching
staff.
These entrepreneurs. And then, coaching staff. How do I approach my staff? Well, I could read a whole bunch of management books and corporate books, but man, if I step into my coaching ability, I'm asking my employee, what's your dream in life? What do you want? You want to buy a house? How much is the house you want to buy? What's the car you want? Okay, well, how do you want to live? Let's make that happen. That's the level of, and if you're lifting others like that to that degree, it just happens that it gave me everything I wanted. So for some people, it's that gift is different, like a lot of people. I do have a client right now that his gift is the same as mine. And so it's mirroring a lot of things in me. But it's incredible what he's doing, what he's achieving through coaching. I said, you're a coach at heart. This is how can you do it even better? How can you apply it to your wife? How can you apply it to your kids? How can you apply this gift to your employees, to expanding locations, to making business deals? It's crazy what's happening with this guy.
To that point, do you always have to expand and grow and add more clients? Like, when is enough where he's a great coach for 5 people?
Yeah. That's a really good question. I mean, it's something that I've thought about a lot. I think once you're in it, you can't help but want to help more people. There's something innate that once you're in it and it's your gift, you want to help more and more people. But then we live in a world of like, you're defining more of who that is, right? Like, I don't work with the same people I did 5 years ago, right? So it's like more of these people. Like for me, I have a standard, Are they committed, right? Are they open-minded? Are they respectful? And are they empowered? It stands core, right? It's at their core. Do they have these 4 traits? And this didn't happen. It just took defining. I don't care about helping anyone else that it doesn't fit that. They're just not for me, right? So do I want to help a lot of people that have those? Absolutely. Will it continue to feed me? Absolutely. Will it help the world be a better place? Absolutely. So it's like it can never end, right? The medium I choose, I could do a podcast, that speaks directly to those people. I could use a medium one-on-one like I do. I choose to do one-on-one. I don't like doing groups. So I do one-on-one, and the medium can change, but do I want to limit the amount of people I want to help? No. I want to change the world.
I feel like when you have passion and you find your purpose, you want to help people. Like me, I definitely love helping business owners. I love talking to entrepreneurs. I love talking business owners. I love this whole podcasting and connecting with people. My second thing is I love helping people with their finances, financially, from an accounting perspective, a bookkeeping, and like I find true joy in that.
Yeah, see, to me, no joy at all.
Right. I
in
like
the
solving
accounting
that.
stuff,
Yeah.
right?
I love solving the problems for business owners to help them grow their business. Like true passion of mine. But at the same time, it's like once you're open to that, client comes in here, client comes in here, client comes in here. It's also setting those boundaries for yourself to be like, okay, yeah, I do want to take over the world, but how do I see what's the owner of the Mattamy Homes is like, how do I plan the future? And I love the whole planning thing and reverse engineer back my life to, hey, what do I want on a day-to-day basis too?
Well, that's the starting point.
Yeah.
You can't go the opposite, right? You have to set your constraints from the start. You start to know yourself, right? At our age, you just start to say, you know,
And is it an age thing? Is it an
yeah, it
experience
is an
thing?
age
It's like,
thing. Of course, it's an age thing. At first, you don't really. You may be a super successful business guy or whatever. It's not, I'm not taking away from anyone that's young and doing, but you get to know yourself
Yeah.
through touching the stove for 40 years, you know,
Right.
like at least. And you like around that where you're starting to say, okay, I don't like this. I only do one-on-one. You know, for a long time, people say, Jean-Luc, why don't you do master classes? Why don't you do group? Why don't you do public speaking? Why don't you do all these things? I don't. That's not who I am.
Yeah.
I do one-on-one.
It's funny. You have to go through that too as an entrepreneur to see it. Like even when I was starting this whole personal brand, social media, I was doing TikToks. I threw a lot of things at the wall and nothing really resonated until I got into podcasting. And I'm like, shit, I love it. I enjoy doing it. And it's just like, I would have never known 2 years ago or a year ago when I started to be like, sit in front one-on-one. Like, is it speaking? Is it group? What is it? Right. Cause it could be anything, but you don't know until you go through that door. Right.
Yeah, exactly. And another, like I'm going to do this the rest of my life. Right.
How do you know that? Because going back to your point, and I'm just challenging you from opening up a fitness store to an incubator to a meditation to coaching. You were coaching in all those different realms.
Yeah.
But I would argue that, or I would say coaching an entrepreneur is different than coaching an employee.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. No, the reason I say is because of that thread. I've recognized that thread all the way through. Right? Like Steve Jobs has a quote that says, like, if you want to know the future, look into the past, connect the dots from the past. And it really spoke to me, that quote, because it was like, oh, yeah, there's this common thread, one-on-one. Coaching is my thing. It's been the facade has changed from an outside perspective, being, and going to meditation, but it hasn't. It's always been the same. And I know that it brings such abundance to my life, So I'm really comfortable saying this is my thing. I'm also tested. Jordan Peterson had a thing. He said, your beliefs, a belief is connected to what you'll sacrifice. If you really believe something, then you're going to sacrifice things. I had to ponder that one for a while, but it's like, I've been tested, as a business coach. I have CEOs of companies that say, wow, man, you would be great for, for selling. You'd be great for managing my team. Man, I'll pay you $300K a year to do this. No, I'm not interested. I can't be bought. So it's like, that's when that you're like, no, I run my own show. I'm an ally with you. You're not my employee. I'm not your employee. We run parallel, right? So that's where I feel my personal sovereignty, and yeah, the coaching thing being my genius.
It's funny how you say that, because so when someone makes you an offer for $300,000, let's just say, or whatever the money is, what's your process? Is it like, thank you for it, give me 24 hours, 48 hours to...
Oh, it's a direct no. It's a no, thank you. You know, like there's no, it's like usually a laugh, you know, like, no, because it happens.
But don't you
lot.
think you're limiting yourself from other potential things?
For what though? Potential for what?
Who knows? Maybe that conversation could be a deeper conversation to something that it might be interest you.
It's like this, this little story of the fisherman and the businessman. You know that one?
Yeah.
Okay. I won't say it.
Say it though.
Yeah.
I know it.
So basically the fisherman, you know, the businessman sees the fisherman and he says, wow, you're so good at fishing. You know, what do you do all day? He says, well, I fish a little bit and then I go home with my family and, you know, I hang out with some friends first and then we all hang out together and we go to bed at night. He goes, oh, wow. Okay. He goes, but if you brought in, you know, like another boat, you could double the amount of fish and, you know, and he goes, then what? Well, then you have two boats, you can get a third boat. And then what? Well, then you find another marina in another town and you build those boats. And then what? And then you build a little headquarters in that city and you can manage all of those places. And then what? Then you can move nationally. And then what? Well, then you can retire. And then what? Well, then you can, you know, fish all day and go hang out with your friends and then go with your family and have a good night. You got to at some point say, back to what you were saying, how much is enough? When you have everything you want, when you've designed your life to be completely personally sovereign, my own food supply, my health, my relationships are solid, my fathering is, I try my best, you know? When you have everything, when you're making enough money, then what? I don't need anything else. So thanks for the offer, but I've designed my life to be completely in alignment with who I am. Does that make sense?
Do you check yourself daily that you're aligned with yourself? Or is it a weekly thing?
In what way?
Well, in 2 years, you might be wanting to move to a different country. I mean, alignment today, correct me if I'm wrong, could be a different alignment tomorrow.
No.
No? Okay.
It's already defined.
Okay.
There's no change.
I just think of myself, and 10 years ago, I didn't have a family. So I didn't want a family. I was in the it just wasn't the time of my life to have a family. So I wasn't aligned. I wasn't aligned with the whole family 10 years ago. And now I am, right? Mm-hmm. So my alignments have completely, where now 10 years ago, maybe I was working an extra 2, 3, 4 hours a day. And that time is now allocated to my kids because I want to be a great father, right? So my alignments have changed over time. Yeah. From circumstances.
Yeah. No, and that's to go back to why I said about age. Age is different. When you're 20 years old, you don't know who you are, you don't know what you want, and those things change. But there comes a certain point where you have experienced life enough to say, hey, I'm not wavering anymore. This is what I want. This is where I'm going. This is what matters. And you just do it.
I still waver for sure. And maybe that's something that I can take a thought process on, because I think I waver, and maybe this resonates with other entrepreneurs out there. It's like right now there's an AI bubble. There's an AI opportunity, right? Mm-hmm. A lot of noise out there.
Yeah.
You know, can create $1 billion company with 4 employees. Like there's a lot of news around AI. I waver because have I ever thought about building a tech company before? Yes, but no. Like it was always in the back of my mind, but it was never, thought I would actually do it. AI gives you the ability to, the risk level of 10 comes down to a 2 because you can build a lot faster, a lot cheaper, just naturally from a cost perspective. So I'm dabbling into that.
Mm-hmm.
But now, like, I'm wavering of like, oh, there's an opportunity there and there's an opportunity there. And I'm putting my entrepreneurial hat on. But then my core myself, I'm like, I'm all about space too. And I learned it I ran a business for 10 years, working 10, 12, 13 hours a day. It was my 20s. I loved it. It was who I was at that time. When I sold, it went from 12 hours a day to 0 times a day, where I had a lot of space. And I was like, whoa, this is uncomfortable.
What a good contrast, though.
What a great contrast. So it really got me to learn a lot about myself during that time too, which
I would imagine.
Yeah, it was a process for sure. So I know I want that balance.
Yeah.
And I think for me, I actually give you a lot of respect for you to say when someone says, hey, I can offer you $300,000, it's a hard no because you know who you are directly, where I would think about it and process it and then make a determination. Yeah. It's not really too much. I don't know what my question is to that, but that's kind of just my initial reaction to that conversation.
Yeah. And it's not to say that the mediums, right? Because you're talking about AI, the mediums change. But to me, when I see AI, it's how can I adopt? Does this apply to me, to my current plan? Because there's things I can't change, right? There's things that, like, AI is not going to stop. So where's this thing going? Well, how's that going to impact me as a coach? Is there parts of it I can use? Is there things I need to reject? So
and can you help more people while leveraging?
Of course. So it's like, though I say with certainty about the vision of things not changing, me being a coach till I die, like these things don't change. But life is change, right? Life is always changing. So but the sort of North Star doesn't change. So it's how do I adapt my thing? I'm in control of the AI, right? It's not gonna power me. Yeah, I can use it if I choose to. I've explored it. How can I use this? Is this something I'm going to use? What ways can I use it? But it doesn't take away from the certainty in what I do.
Do you think about your North Star a lot, like every day?
Every single day, every morning. I have the founders I work with, and we align to it.
How do you do that?
We do a workout together, and we do a little meditation together, 5 minutes, 3 to 5 minutes, and we just, what are we here for? What are we doing this? Just reminder, because there's rituals. See, we're forgetful beings, humans, we forget all the time. So we create rituals. That's why there's religions, to remind us like, hey, there's something called God in the world, and these rituals, for example, gratitude. Gratitude isn't something that just naturally like we have all the time. We forget. We have a bad day, and then we forget we should be grateful for the kids that we have that are healthy, that we have our health. Right. We forget these things. So that's why we put rituals in place to remind us of these things that matter, reminders. So your purpose, your vision, your alignment to your actions and words, all that needs a ritual on a regular basis if you want to take it to the next level, right? Like, because I just sort of said, well, this needs to happen on the daily, because imagine how much like gas we're pouring on the fire if we're just connected to that every day.
Are you a religious person?
I'm a spiritual person. Religion is just like the rules of it all, right? So, no, I make my own rules.
And what's the difference between religious and spiritual?
Well, religion is just the rules of it. Like you could swap out religion with rules. There's certain rules you need to follow. You gotta pray 5 times a day. You gotta, if you're if you're Muslim, you gotta, all these rules around things, which I think, there's reasons for it. And some people need it. I'd say most people do need routine. But I'm an entrepreneur. I never liked rules. I always like to make rules. So I make rules for myself that align, but I definitely am aware that there is God. And to me, that's all oneness. It's like we can't even say it.
What is oneness?
It's like, this is like a rabbit hole of trying to, explain something that can't be explained.
Okay.
So it's like, it's literally, it can't be defined. But like the closest thing we can do is you to use a word like God, or go out into nature and say, just look at how like your lungs are breathing right now, and it's not effortful for you, right? There's no effort involved. It's just happening. Our blood is flowing. Our heart is pumping. We're not doing anything for that to happen. It's just happening, right? Like these are functions that are just happening. Well, it's the same thing with the river that's flowing. And it's the same thing with the wind, a tree that's blowing in the wind. And all of these things, and the sun going up and down. And if we kind of zoom out, we can say that, oh my God, I am exactly part of all of it. I'm just a system that's working like all systems, and I'm not separate from it. And that's one. That's the best way I could probably describe oneness. Because we give names to form. Like this table is a tree, but because it's a certain shape that we've cut, we call it a table. Right? So we're made of carbon. We breathe it in. So like we can look at it from different angles, but like we're made of the same stuff that the table is made of. Like a tree is mostly made from the wind. You wouldn't think that. That was a surprise to me, because I thought the roots sucked up all the nutrients from the soil and became a tree through that. But if you put a tree in a pot and you give it only certain nutrients, it still grows. So where did it get its nutrients from that little pot, right? Turns out it's the air, and it builds carbon and builds wood. So like air, water, fire, right? The four elements, right? Like earth, you're having all of these things, and it's like it's all of us. So there's no separation. We're just one. So when you said you believe in religion has personified different aspects of it to make us try to understand, especially kids, to say, hey, there's a man with a white beard, and he's going to judge you at the end of your life, and all these things. It's like, I see the reason, I see the purpose. It personifies for somebody to try to understand the mystery of what can't be explained in a way I just did. Right? So it's like, the judge is you at the end of the day. You're going to have to live with the bad things you do. You're going to have to live with the good things you do.
Have you always been a curious person?
Yeah, always. Always. I like to dissect things.
Was your parents like that?
My dad is very curious. He's an entrepreneur. And though we didn't live together, he left when I was young. We have a very similar personality in terms of this entrepreneurial fire, this curiosity for life, this building, this joie de vivre. He's a French guy. But yeah, some people, this was a recent discovery too, this idea of 2 different types of thinkers. Because when I'm working with entrepreneurs, I want to define, I want to understand and define what kind of, how they learn, right? And there's people that are, I've realized are have an integrated worldview of life. Okay, and that integrated worldview is like they have connected dots and created a world that if you take one of those dots away, it's very confusing. Everything needs to be integrated for it to make sense. So they'll like deeply search for something in order to make sense, and they reject things. And then there's people that have a fragmented worldview, right? And they're more like facts can come in and they accept it. Oh yeah, cool. Yeah. Oh, and they know all these facts, but they're not integrating it into a matrix. So those are two different types of minds that people have. I'm very much an integrator. If something doesn't make sense in my worldview, I need to go down to the depths of it. I need to deconstruct it, figure out, and if it doesn't match into my worldview, I discard.
Must be exhausting at times.
That's funny. I've never heard that. Exhausting? It's just who I am, you know?
I guess prior to meditation, it was probably very exhausting until you were able to.
Yeah. You know what? You're probably right with that. Yeah, because now I can set it aside.
Right.
You know, and just be like, okay, family time, you know, and it's gone. And we're like, we're going to do something. Okay, I can shut it off. But yeah, it's been definitely a big part of my success. Just dissecting, and it's a big part of my coaching.
Yeah.
My coaching is like getting into the intricacies of things and connecting dots and going, like just before this, I had a call and I'm like, wow, like your unique thing about you, your genius is that you're like positivity and energy, and everyone around you feels good around you. You leave people feeling good. Like, so then it's like, from a business standpoint, what do you do with that? You know? And it's like, I just had connected the dots on our call. It's like, whoa, you need to do YouTube channels. You need a YouTube channel where you're doing just going to houses and doing your service for free for low-income families and bringing your energy online with videos, because those types of videos are booming. You know, those renovation shows where somebody goes in and renovates for a family. I'm like, those get so much traffic and it's inspiring. Let somebody else manage the company. It's not what you do. You know, get somebody, hire a manager to manage the right personality. You stay in your genius, get on camera and spread that positivity and that energy. And the business is called Karma Moving in BC. Little plug there, Joey. You know, Karma Moving. It's called Karma Moving. I was like, you know, it's like it's all connected. You know, I don't know when he incorporated that name, when he came up with that name, but it's who he is. He is Mr. Karma. He's good to be around. And all of his employees, those were surveys that came from his employees to tell him what his genius was.
And how did he respond to that? Because that's a big conversation. Hey, stop doing this to do this. Stop running your business to go generate bigger business at the end of the day.
Yeah. The conversation looked like, man, I've been holding this in for so long, knowing you, but the timing hasn't been right, but now it's right. What do you think about this?
So do you hold off until you know the person's ready or feel it?
All the time. That's a discipline. I already sense, but they're just not there. And it's actually not a service to them to just blur it all out, because they're not going to. So it's like there's stages, you know, there's stages they have to get to. Okay, you're stuck in the business, man. You're like, you're not even thinking straight. Let's first get you out from drowning and let's focus on that. Like everything for me is what's immediate right now towards the place where we want to get to. You know, so it's like, okay, you're drowning. I'm not going to be talking about doing YouTube videos, you know? So it's like, okay, but I already know that that's the way to go, you know, because I see him, you know, I see him deeply. And then it's like, Okay, now you're out of drowning. Now you got some extra income. You could hire a manager. We talk about all the fires he's putting out, constantly putting out fires. Okay, let's dissect. What was the fire? Oh, this guy didn't show up. What's this fire? Oh, that guy didn't show up. He was sick, or this, that. You tired of dealing with that stuff? You're not the type of person to deal with this stuff, you know?
And in the middle of the conversation, you talked about decisions. And it's a big...
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Is it the lack of decisions entrepreneurs make, in the sense of not because of all the stories in their mind of why they can't do it?
Oh, man, there's so much fear. Right?
Fear? It comes down to fear.
Fear is a big one, you know?
Fear of what?
It's fear of many things, but fear is like a tree, okay? It's like the trunk of the tree is fear of death. And every branch on that can move into an evolution of fear of judgment of other people, fear of what my family will think, right? And it goes from fear of death to fear of, being thrown out of our tribe, you know, ending up alone, ending up poor. So that fear happens in a split second. We're not even aware, but like, it's like, oh, how long you been dragging this out? You know, how long, you know? And to me, what I get a real thrill with clients is like, can we change this today? Like this thing that you've been like sitting with for like 6 months, you know? Like, what could you do that would completely shift that? And he's like, sometimes it's like, let's say, for example, like, money's tight, I'm not sure. And like these clients, my profit margin isn't that great, and I'm like, what could you do today that would change that? And it's not me giving them the answer, but they're like, if I did one big sale, okay, who in your current network right now do you think you could get on a call and sell them today? And then it's like, well, actually, I have been talking to John, he is sort of interested. Can you get him on a call today and try to sell him? And like, it's like crazy what happens sometimes. It's like, boom, I just made 50 grand. Like, whoa, it's like John was always there, and it's like most people, it's like 80% of people are saying no to you not because they're going to a competitor, because they're also stalling. They're also like, oh yeah, good idea, but not taking action. So if you can help people ignite that decision making, that's where my power lies, in that coaching call. How can we eliminate it by the end of the day?
So that person potentially was scared of not getting the contract, or scared of rejection.
You got it. Scared of rejection. What are they going to think about me? Fear of rejection is a big thing.
Right.
I had one client that I was working with, he was doing on Instagram, doing all these outwards marketing things. And I said, listen, your problem is you have fear of rejection. And he's like, no, I don't, because I'm not afraid to confront, like if let's have this, like if you think I'm wrong, prove me wrong, but I'm okay with conflict. So it's like, let's talk it through. But I said, what I'm seeing is fear of rejection. And he's like, no, I don't have this fear of rejection. I said, you're doing all this marketing stuff, but it's hiding. It's hiding because you could pick up the phone right now and you could call a company and you could sell them. You know where your customer is, but you're hiding through all these videos because it's comfortable in your office. And he's like, no, I have no problem with fear of rejection. I said, okay, let's go. Let's pick up the phone. And he's like, what do you mean? Let's pick up the phone. I said, I'll do the first one. You do the second one. So
Love it.
Yeah. So we get on. So I said, I just went to Google Maps. I chose the first company I see, the service company. I said, okay, I call. I said, I'll pretend to be you. And I just call him up. Hey, I'm not going to say his name there, and I just said, hey, are you interested? Do you have this? And no, actually we don't. I didn't sell the guy. I said, okay, sounds good. All right. See you later. I said, that wasn't so bad. Your turn. Like, oh, man, it's like, oh, okay. Does the first call. Okay. He gets rejected, Okay. Let's do another one. Let's keep going. We're going to spend the rest of the time just doing calls, because the only way you're going to face your fear is through.
Yeah.
We got to face the fear, and why not do it right now? And that's the sort of thing that gives me a thrill as a coach, is to help that person elevate. And it's like, sometimes it's like these internal fears. I had this other client, if you like that story, I just came to Ottawa from the island, arrived 4 days ago. I have a client that I have from Ottawa, and privacy is super important for me, so I don't like to say the names, but I go to visit him in person, but for months now, I've been saying, hey, you need to go after corporate. He's more in the B2C right now. I said, you got to go B2B. And he's like, I've tried, doesn't work. I said, not buying it. I've done it before, it would work. And he's like, I tried it, and just complete avoidance. And I try to unpack it. What's the avoidance? It's just never worked before. Similar thing, doing a lot of marketing, not much sales, so what's going on with that? I said, they're right there. They're right there. Why don't you just go? No, he says, it's not fear of rejection, whatever. It's not going to work. So when I went to visit him 2 days ago, I go there, and on the way there, I see a potential business, the big sign, big business.
Let's go in.
A lot of employees in that business. So I go in, and right away I see the secretary. I was like, hey, do you guys want a discount? An employee discount for the company that he has? And she goes, yeah, that'd be great. I said, okay, put me in touch with the decision maker, and let's make this happen. And she's like, oh, okay. She goes to her desk. Here's the number. Here, let me check his email. Make sure you got the right email. Give me I'm like, do you think you could give me an intro if I do if I send you an email? What's your name? Okay. Anyways, I take the card. I drive a little bit. I see another business. Oh, that's another good one. Go in, boom, same thing. Get a second card. Then I showed up at his business. I was like, hey, how's it going? Good. I said, here, I got you 2 corporate leads.
That's great.
And he was like, you fucker.
That's awesome.
So funny. This was just a few days ago.
So what are you scared of? What's your fear?
What's my fear?
I see you on Instagram stories going through mountains in the unknowns, putting up a tent, no food or limited food. Are you constantly challenging your fears?
Yeah. I mean, I've always faced my fears, my first tattoo was courage, on my arm. I always, what am I scared of now? It's, probably more to do with my daughter, fear around hoping she grows up in the safest way possible, but for me personally, I'm not that scared of much. When it comes to business, the sort of elements of business, can't really think of it.
And how did you get over all these fears?
Facing it every time.
So whenever was there a sign, oh, this is a fear of judgment, so I'm going to go do something? How did you know?
Yeah, exactly.
Fear, money,
I actually, you know what? I've had great mentors. Myself. And that's what nudged me. Yeah. that's been the biggest thing. That's why I'm doing what I'm doing, right? Because I didn't do this alone. Like, I didn't get to where I am alone. Every single time I had some revelation was generally through a mentor that said, like my first mentor, Claude, he passed away, but he said, "What's your dream?" I said, "To open a gym." And he said, "Well, okay, when?" I said, "Well, I don't know. I haven't really thought about it." He said, give me a deadline or else it's not going to happen. I said, "Well, I'll have to go home. I'll let you know when I come back." I was his personal trainer. And then he came back and he said, "So you got a number? You got a date?" He was like holding me to it, And I said, "Yeah, in a year from now." And he's like, "If you could do it in a year, you can do it in 6 months." And I was open 3 months later. But that shifted my whole life, And it's pretty much the same energy that I'm telling you I'm doing with clients now, is this: let's force decision making. He made me set a timeline, a decision, and shifted everything. Why open a gym when you're like 40? Do it when you're 23, So every shift is fear of rejection. I had Brent Thompson, from Peak Sales, still a mentor to me today. I'd love to. Yeah, he's a really great person, and he said, "Yeah, corporate sales, like you gotta face it," And then I had giants like Good Life, to compete against in the B2B that had exclusive contracts that couldn't even enter the space. So I had to face those things, for rejection. Okay, just get on the calls, go. My stepson right now, he told me, he said, "Jean-Luc, do you think I should get a job doing door-to-door sales with
Ben Stewart?
Eh?
Property Stars?
No, with it was like Bell.
Okay.
Yeah, door-to-door sales, internet sales. Absolutely, man. Absolutely. That's the best training you'll get." He said, "You gotta, at your age, start building skills. It's all about facing these things." And then 3 months later, he said, "Oh, okay, I'm sick of this, He says, "Do you think I should quit?" I said, "Do you think you should quit? Have you learned the lesson? Is the rejection gone?" He's like, "Oh yeah, it's gone now. I've done so many doors." Okay, quit that thing. That's horrible. Horrible job.
Right. And on the island, is there a lot of founders? Like, is there a community there that?
No.
Because you said you do rituals with founders every morning.
Oh, that's online.
Oh, online. Okay.
Yeah. 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 That's just, it's just a few of us.
Okay.
It's whoever's interested. It's not like.
So when you moved there, you didn't know anyone, anything. It was just.
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't know anyone. Didn't know the culture. Just, yeah, it was a different time in my life. But like you, I had spent 5 years after I sold my company. I had spent 5 years really doing nothing, because you have this dream of living on the beach, but even that eventually, that fire, to serve, that purpose wants to be expressed just naturally, right?
Yeah. It's like you're holding it back. It's like your superpower just being restrained.
Yeah. Yeah. So I did feel like there was a dip of rest. I don't know if it was like that for you, but like, okay, rest, but then all of a sudden this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Ready to go.
Ready to go.
Well, thanks, Jean-Luc. Anything we missed in the conversation that you would want a young entrepreneur or someone running a business really hit home with?
Really spend some time. This is for everyone, actually. Every entrepreneur is like, really spend some time in either solitude. There's two ways you really, really get this self-knowledge, or in the presence of another strong man, somebody that you respect, that can give you the truth. So if you want more depth into, defining where you should go, like those are the two best ways.
What do you mean by solitude?
Like go out in nature. Like cut, no phone, just go out, go out in nature, go work at the farm, go cut some wood, go for longest walk of your life, and just in that space, so much just comes together.
For a certain amount of time, or?
No, just longest walk of your life, or just go with the commitment to have nothing going on, I don't know time frame, it depends what's available, but yeah.
And the second was?
Get advice from another strong man that has a strong opinion about life, that will not sugarcoat and people please you, that will act like Claude did for me, that'll say, hey, why aren't you doing it? Like, this is your gift. Stop that. Tell him to fuck off, cut that relationship. Like we need that as men together, to hear like truth. What you do with it is up to you. Just, take what's useful, discard the rest, as Bruce Lee once said. But like, it's powerful to have another guy tell you, you're off the path.
Did you wish you had that growing up, or did you have that growing up?
I had that growing up with my stepdad. He was a very strong personality. Yeah. But there was also, this entrepreneurial direction where he wasn't entrepreneurial.
He wasn't?
No. Like my stepdad, I looked up to the freedom that my clients had. Really, it was freedom. Like, these people can come and work out with me at 3 p.m. They're doing something different, and I had read Rich Dad, Poor Dad, I think when I was 17. It's like, oh, wow, like they know the way, meeting people like Peter and countless others, and just going, okay, they're living different, and seeing the division between working for somebody else versus working for yourself. And to me, that working for yourself, that personal sovereignty, freedom of really 5 things: the freedom of health, freedom of time, freedom of money, freedom of purpose, and freedom of your relationships. Those are the 5 freedoms I score with clients. Where are they on that? Because I'm trying to get them to be as free as possible.
I love it. We have a closing tradition where I ask one last question. And if you left a sticky note on your first laptop before you ever got started, what would it say?
Before I guess, it would say, trust yourself.
Thank you, Jean-Luc, for coming on. I know you're in Ottawa for a short period of time, and I really appreciate you taking the time to speak with my audience. And more importantly, like, your curiosity is what I really honed in on. Like, everything in your life you've challenged and you've thought about and you processed, and I could see how clients can really benefit from that. Because if you went through the journey, they're going through a different journey, but you can help them, you can guide them through their journey. Whatever their journey is, you can definitely see that you've done the work and you've put in the time and the mental capacity and the energy to really deliver, I'm assuming, a product to your clients that they probably have so much weight off their shoulders, a lot of the conversations through you, because you probably see stuff that they probably don't see for themselves. And if people wanted to get a hold of you or your program, what's the best way to get a hold of you?
First of all, thank you so much. That means so much to me that you see the curiosity in me. It's definitely something that is, that I just enjoy, learning and continuous learning, being a student for life. I really appreciate those words. And where they can get a hold of me, JeanLucBoissoneault.com.
Okay, so website.
Yeah, and my name isn't the easiest to spell, but maybe you'll have it written.
I'll put it in the show notes.
Okay.
Thanks, Jean-Luc.